financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is Chapter 13, the only game in town for student debt, and file your taxes or an extension. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. It is tax time, so that is a very important topic right now.
Jeffrey Linden, good morning.
Morning, Ken. Happy to be here.
Kelsey Simasco.
Good morning.
My favorite. Good morning.
Oh my gosh, my favorite.
Okay, Chapter 13, but a reminder on all these things. 3-point retirement plan, own your home free and clear, zero debt, some cash in the bank. Those of you that we love so much because you regularly tune into the show may realize that virtually every show I'm doing a reminder of the 3-point retirement plan. That's because it was one of my New Year's resolutions to try and brainwash the public to the need for the 3-point retirement plan so that they are happy in retirement.
You are doing a fantastic job.
It's my contribution. So, student debt. That's our topic. Is there a problem?
Oh, is there a problem?
With ability to get relief for student debt now?
All right, so let's little history. During the Biden administration, the Department of Justice and the Department of Education came up with a combined program that allowed for the discharge of student loan debt in a much simpler fashion, that if you were below the median income for a household your size, you could apply through, it's an adversary complaint, but it was a simplified adversary complaint, a lawsuit inside of a bankruptcy, and they would eliminate some or all of your student loan debt through the legal process. Previous to that, that program going into effect, there was a process to do it. You have to file a lawsuit, and effectively, you can't have a single nickel left over. It's called the Brunner test. And
this was in bankruptcy.
This was in bankruptcy also, to eliminate your student loans. And most, if not everybody that filed a lawsuit under the Brunner test failed to discharge their student loans.
So that wasn't a solution.
So
but
this
then
program
you had a solution.
The program under the Biden administration was working. And then now we have a new administration, and it was eliminated.
How, when you say eliminated?
I mean, they ended it. They ended the program. There is no cooperation.
So if you have a client in bankruptcy, you can't even file that complaint?
You can file the complaint and seek to discharge the student loan under the Brunner test, which is the existing case law.
But not under the new
Not under the Department of Education, Department of Justice combined program.
Okay, now what about other methods of getting rid of student debt outside of bankruptcy?
Okay, so let's go to when we had student loan debt and you're disabled on Social Security disability, a comment towards Jeff, the opportunity to discharge your student loans exists through a Social Security disability discharge of your student loans. If you've been disabled for at least 36 months.
So is that still there?
That appears to still be there at the moment.
All right, so not, the disability segment is a small segment of the
Correct.
population that has student debt.
What about the other
rest?
40 million Americans that have student loan
Yeah,
debt?
can we talk about them instead?
So, yeah, we are. So here's the thing. If you go to file a bankruptcy and you seek to discharge your student loans under the Brunner test, you're likely to lose. Okay?
I'm talking about, what about outside of bankruptcy?
Outside of bankruptcy, there were opportunities. Under the Biden administration, they instituted a new one called SAVE. That was an income-based repayment program that allowed you to base what you could afford on 5% of your disposable income. Most previous tests that existed under going back to the Carter administration forward were income-based repayment programs, income-based repayment, income-sensitive repayment,
Are
et cetera.
those still available is my question.
Yes and no. they were based on 10% of your disposable income, and not everybody qualified based on the type of loans it was. They were more limited to certain types of loans. The problem is that the way we do things in today's business is we go online, right? And we file an application. Everything's done online. You can't even talk to your insurance company without uploading something online.
I just want to make.
Guess what?
I want to be real important. I want to know the bottom line here before we get to the commercial, and I'm not going to do what we see on TV where the people have to wait for the commercial to
Well,
get
maybe
the
you
answer.
should stop talking.
So tell me what I want to know.
Okay.
I'm begging you,
The
please.
Trump administration, because they tried to, there were lawsuits regarding the SAVE program. A federal judge ruled that part of the SAVE program was illegal, and he ruled that there was a whole series of language in the online application for all the other income-based repayment programs was not correct. It forced the federal government to take down
The website.
the website and the ability to apply for income-based repayment online.
That's outside of bankruptcy.
It's outside of bankruptcy,
you-
which means you still can do it, but you have to get a paper application and you have to send it to the federal government, which doesn't exist anymore because they fired
So
everybody.
you're going to send it to the federal government in the Department of Education?
Yeah, the department that they want to
they're-
eliminate.
Or and if they don't
The
eliminate
department
they're-
they've begun to
So
eliminate.
Right.
from a practical standpoint, are you saying that there is no longer any of the pre-existing programs for the elimination of student debt that were in place prior to
From
the
a
new
practical
administration?
standpoint, they don't exist for the average person to take advantage of unless you know how to apply on paper and wait a year because there's
Well, you
nobody to
don't-
respond.
You don't know that it's waiting a year.
I
It
know
could be
that they
waiting-
said-
it could be waiting for 5 years.
It could be.
Here, hold on.
I
What
know that they
happens-
said that the programs would be back up online by the end of the year. That's 11 months from now.
Really?
What's happening to people who got into the SAVE
10 months
program and got an income-based reduction payment plan?
All of those
before this
people-
happened?
I can speak to that because that's what's happening to me right now. Right now, we're just in limbo.
So you
I
didn't get
have-
approved and finalized?
I have it approved. I have it finalized. I have
Repaying?
everything on my Nelnet screen saying SAVE program.
Take a
It's
break.
all in limbo.
We're going to do it. Take a break. We'll come back and we'll let you know where Kelsey's loan stands at.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV Gross.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV Gross. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
For almost 60 years, Samasco Law has been the trusted source for helping families navigate the uncertain world of estate planning and elder law. And now, our firm is growing even stronger with the addition of attorneys Joe Frazard and Kelsey Samasco. 2 more lawyers to make sure your family is protected now and into the future. Call Samasco Law today for a free consultation. Our hardworking team is standing by to provide you peace of mind. Samasco Law. Protect what matters.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so we're back. So I hear chaos. That's what I'm feeling.
You are 100% right.
Do you know where you stand on yours, or are you in limbo?
I know that I'm in limbo, but with everything going on, with the Department of Education currently being dismantled, I'm
knows?
maybe anticipating that everything will get so messed up they'll lose my loan.
No, wouldn't that be
And
wonderful?
so,
You
fingers
never know.
crossed.
The bottom line is we're in a very I don't know situation, but the one thing that we do know is that the plan going forward is not available.
No.
Those
and-
people that are in limbo halfway through it. Here's just a very quick question. When they talk about eliminating the Department of Education,
Well, they're
are
going
they? Let me just finish that question. Are they talking about taking the essential services of the Department of Education and relocating them
So
in a different department?
with regard
or are they
to-
just saying whatever they're doing is gone?
No, with regard to student loan collection, they're planning on, the thought process is to move it to Treasury. Which, because Treasury is, in their minds,
Because Treasury is much more compassionate.
Right.
No,
And they're so good
equipped
at
to
collecting.
handle dealing with debt, and equipped to handle dealing with the loans. But the problem is that you're in limbo. You can't apply for these programs. The likelihood of being approved is almost non-existent.
right,
So
so-
what can you do?
Yes. How does Chapter 13 help?
All right. So if you assume that you can only be president for a total of 8 years, the next president of the United States will be somebody different 3.5 years from now, because Trump isn't king. So there's a possibility that a more moderate approach to government will come back in place.
Unless the prince becomes the president.
Oh, well, let's not even go there. But the concept is that you need to be able to kick the can down the road.
And 13 does that?
And Chapter 13 will allow you to do that. Because what it does, let's say you look at your budget, you've got $20,000 with credit card debt, you're carrying $60,000 in student loans, and you look at all the payments and you go, all right, those payments add up to $860 a month, and I've only got $212 left over to pay against $860 a month. Where am I getting the other money? You're not. It doesn't magically appear. There's no magic wand. So
Can't you just put it on a credit card?
you take the $212 and
Yeah,
you
great idea.
force
There's
your
a vein.
creditors
That's what I
There's
to
a
used to
vein going in
you
his head.
force your creditors to accept what you can afford in the Chapter 13 process. And Chapter 13 can be up
So your
to
credit cards get zero.
credit cards. Well, let's say that there's $80,000 worth of debt, and you're paying $212 a month into your program for 60 months. Well, the credit cards were 25% of the debt. The student
they'll get
loans were
50 bucks a month.
75% of the debt. The credit cards will get 25% of the money that you're paying in.
Student loans
loan gets 75% of the money. And it's even possible that we can manipulate it so
Question.
that the student loan gets all the money and the credit cards get none of the money.
When you're in that bankruptcy, does a student loan debt continue to accrue interest out of
Yes,
curiosity?
unfortunately, because it's a
So
non-dischargeable
it's going to
debt.
be it's going to be an even bigger debt at the end of the bankruptcy.
Not necessarily.
But hopefully they'll be
We're
released
covering
down
the
the road.
cost, at least the cost of the interest, so that you can then get into an income-based repayment
So-
program when you're done with this.
So, and eventually, we've been saying this for many years.
Some of us believe
eventually,
it and some of us don't.
there'll be relief for the simple reason that economically, if too many people are saddled with this debt, they will not have the disposable income to spend money growing the economy. And eventually an administration will recognize that and grant some form of relief. You always have the problem, and it's a legitimate problem, because you have to choose between options, neither of which are optimal. You have the segment of people that say, I paid my student loan. Why should they, quote unquote, get relief? That's a legitimate position. It's a question of weighing and balancing what's best for the country. If a massive segment of the country is saddled with debt and doesn't have an ability to live a decent life and spend as a consumer, because consumer spending drives our economy, those people that are sitting there on the other side bitching about relief are going to suffer as well, because we do not do well when we operate in a continual recession. That's the global answer, and people have to start being so selfish and so self-centered and so focused only on their little greedy selves to understand that sometimes you have to do something that's smart for everyone, including the greedy miser who's worried about it.
The problem is that
in my world,
those programs that were starting to help,
yes,
they were eliminated because the left went to overkill. Now the right's going to overkill.
Right, and
if you could find a moderate position where student loans could become dischargeable in bankruptcy, the opportunity.
Which we've said many times, Chapter 13 allows you to discharge your unsecured debt over a 5-year, 36 to 60-month plan based upon your ability to pay.
Right.
Why not make the student loans part of that process? And even if you want to say not 5 years on the student loans, you make it 7 or 10 years. You still accomplish the exact same result. Why treat student debt so much different than any other debt? That's where the fallacy exists.
Well, it didn't used to be. And then doctors started filing bankruptcy out of residency.
Right.
And that's why they changed the law.
Yeah. So you can modify those issues.
You can
and cover them.
But you got to come to a middle ground.
Absolutely.
You can't just keep giving away the student loans to everybody and forgiving them.
For now, you got to do the 13 to buy time. Eventually, there'll be a solution. And once there's a solution, then which will be individual to the individual. We'll take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about tax deadlines.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You know, Dad always asked that we look after Mom when he passed away.
I know, but she insisted on moving down to the Villages, and now she has that new boyfriend, and I am worried. Maybe it's time to just call Samasco Law.
Take the stress out of your family's future. Reach out to Samasco Law and set a course through life's difficult times. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so it's tax time. April
tax time.
15th is coming. What would you guys say is the most important statement to make to people with respect to filing their tax return?
File
File
your
them on
taxes.
time,
Yeah.
or file an extension on time, and then file it within your extension time.
Yeah, what he said.
Even if you don't have the money to pay.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because if you don't file, it's technically a federal crime, one. Two, if you don't file, you're subject to a 25% penalty on what the taxes that you would owe at 5% a month for every month that you've
Which
haven't filed.
always ends up being 25%.
In the time we've
'cause
been
nobody-
doing this, we've never had somebody fix the problem within 5 months.
No, because if they don't file, then they usually don't file for 2-3
Right.
years.
So if you owe 1,000, you now owe 1,250, like that.
Just a complete waste of money. So the bottom line is file by the deadline or file by the extension, even if you don't have the money. We could say that 1,000 times, but there'll still be 100,000 people that don't
Don't do it.
listen.
Right.
But it's just a stupid mistake to make. All right, what else can you do to trim taxes? At this late stage of the game, not a lot, but you can still do an IRA contribution.
Right.
So, and the thing that I always like to emphasize is, you don't, if you don't have the cash to do the maximum amount of the contribution, then do less. But whatever you put in the IRA, you're saving for retirement, and you're reducing your current tax burden by doing it. So it's a smart thing to do. Now, topic that I think is topical, current. I also find it amusing.
But is it interesting?
I think so.
Okay.
In my world, we hear all these notices in publications of all these people that are being laid off from the IRS. First of all, we covered on this show all the 85,000 people they were adding to the IRS in the Biden administration over a number of years. Now we're talking about massive layoffs in the IRS.
They're just eliminating the same
You're talking about the
85,000.
phantom badge-wearing, gun-carrying, aggressive IRS policeman coming to your door?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Those
didn't happen.
they never existed, so they're not. They never existed in the first place, so they're
Right.
not getting laid off.
Right.
So you deal with IRS on collection? Are you talking to people that think they're losing their job?
They don't know. But yeah, they think that if there's no continuing resolution today, there could be mass layoffs or furloughs today.
And when you're talking to people, you're talking to the collection officers.
I'm talking
right?
to revenue officers, revenue agents.
Those are
appellate
the
people.
guys and gals that are out there trying to collect the taxes that haven't been paid.
Right.
Yeah.
So if they don't have jobs, isn't it great for society? Because now I owe government money. I don't have to worry
thinking
about it. They're
maybe-
never coming after
Should
me.
I not send them any more money?
Well, guess what? When you get your paycheck, maybe not you specifically in your terms of compensation, but when you look at your paycheck
Actually, I
and the
do.
average person, and you look and there's federal withholding and FICA withholding and Medicare withholding and state tax withholding, and all that comes out of your paycheck before it gets deposited into your account, that doesn't change.
So to me, this is the amusing point. People are out there watching the news, celebrating that, get rid of IRS, I'm not going to have to pay taxes. The majority of Americans are W-2 employees that have their income taxes withheld from their paycheck, which is not going to stop.
Right.
And when that doesn't stop, they're paying their taxes. They always have paid their taxes. They're not the clients that come into us with the tax problem. The ones that have the tax problems are the self-employed individuals who control when they pay their taxes and frequently fall behind in paying their taxes because they don't have the discipline necessary to pay them on time. Those people may have some benefit here because even though they owe the taxes, the IRS won't have the manpower to chase them down to collect the money. Now, is that a good thing? I kind of look at it this way. In fact, we kind of talked about it with student debt a few minutes ago. If you paid your student loan, you may have a gripe and a beef about the people that don't have to pay their student loan. Well, I can tell you this, to be honest. I've been paying my taxes for 50 years, 52 years. And I've said,
He's old.
I don't really appreciate, on an equity basis, the people that owe the taxes that have escaped from the tax base.
Well, how about the
ones-
people that don't have to pay taxes because they're billionaires?
Though I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate the ones
bugs
that
me
work
more.
for cash and don't pay their taxes, but they suffer anyway because they don't have Social Security, and that they're making their own mistake.
Right.
But it's the point is the people that the mass number of people that are sitting there saying, "Oh, great, get rid of IRS," you're not going to benefit from this. It's going to be the billionaires, the millionaires, the self-employed people that game the system already. They're going to be able to game it better because IRS will not have the manpower to chase them until a new administration comes in, and then all of a sudden
And
they do.
rehires the 85,000 people
And
again.
if anyone thinks that our federal government and our military is going to be able to sustain itself without tax revenue in order to pay the salaries and buy the equipment and do the research and do everything else, well, congratulations, because the only thing I can say is you're a hell of a lot smarter than I am, and I really think that I would like you to be my investment manager. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.